Ready to level up your leadership from the ground up? This is Lead from the Line. Here's your host, Coach Mac.
Coach Mac, Coach Mac, here is your host, Coach Mac, Coach Mac.
Yo, welcome back to Lead from the Line. I'm Coach Mac. So look, we all know the loud dads. I'm one of them. The ones that pace the sideline, the ones barking at players, barking at the refs, barking at coaches, the ones whose voices echo over everything else. I know you're sitting here and you're like, oh, I know exactly what he's talking about. You know, and sometimes that loud dad is us, right? Today's episode is simply called Don't Just Be Loud, Be Leadership. Man, I'm excited. This is the second to last episode in season 1 of Lead from the Line podcast. It's crazy to think that we've already released so many episodes and the growth has been fantastic. So this is where I'll take the opportunity to say, hey, if this is your first time hearing this podcast, hey, there's 10 other episodes that you can go listen to. There's episodes on Spotify. There's episodes on Apple Music. There's episodes on YouTube if you like to watch. We post clips on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Please, whatever platform you're the most comfortable with, go follow along. And then the last ask I have is please share this content with somebody who can benefit. Again, this isn't for me. I'm not creating a podcast to be like, I got a podcast. I'm creating a podcast because there's people out there just like me who want to be better. There's people out there just like me who want to lead from the line and maybe they don't know how to, who want to be the best version of themselves, but they're just stuck. And I too am still trying to be the best version of myself. And so if I can help anybody out in any way possible, that's my goal. So again, today's episode is called Don't Just Be Loud, Be Leadership, right? Your son doesn't need a loud presence. I think it's funny that people think you got to be loud to be heard and the loudest person in the room. Nah, I don't believe in any of that. You know, your son needs a steady example and a steady present, right? So let's just talk about this. Let's dive right in. It's easy to raise your voice and point your finger. Everybody can do that. You see what I'm saying? Everybody can point a finger, right? It's easy to slam a fence, throw your hands up in the air if something doesn't go your way, stomp off. All those kind of things are super, super easy to do. But leadership is less about volume and more about stability. And I think in all these episodes we've been talking, you've got to know by now is that your son will not remember what decibel levels you yelled at. Your son's going to remember whether you were fair, whether you were safe, and whether you were predictable. And what I mean by that is, does your son know how you're going to react in every situation? Or is your son like, I have no idea how this man is going to react in this situation, right? So this is one of those situations where your son wants to know if we're going to be calm. Are we going to be calm in those situations and handle situations the right way? And so I think it's really, really a fine line for us as parents and as dads and coaches and all of that is that we have to make sure that our kids know that they're safe in every single situation. Like, put it like this. They know, hey, I'm going to the store with my dad. Someone's not going to look at my dad funny. My dad's going to respond accordingly. And then we're in an issue, right? Then we're in a situation that we didn't need to be in. Or, hey, my dad is like this all the time. I know exactly what to expect. I know I'm safe when I'm with my dad. My dad's not going to do anything crazy or make any bad decisions because that's who my dad is, right? I feel like we early on have got to set the precedent with our kids and so they know exactly what to expect from us. Now, I get it. There's going to be situations, there's going to be times, there's going to be times when we just don't feel good. And there's going to be things that maybe cause us to act out of character. And I think it's in that moment where we've got to keep in mind our kids are watching. And so we're right off the end of the college football season. And so we saw a fantastic game between Indiana and Miami. And one of the clips that I saw the next morning after I woke up is Mark Fletcher Jr., the running back from Miami, punched a kid from Indiana or swung on a kid from Indiana, whatever. Not sure if he connected. I know people be like, well, he attempted a punch. He didn't hit him. And so I started looking on the internet like, why? Who is it? Why would he do this? I've heard Mark Fletcher's story, right? His dad passed away tragically a year ago or so, and he texts his dad still before every single game. Dad, be with me, this, that, and the other. And so I was like, what in the world was it that caused this guy to act out of character? And so that's where I'm going with this story. There's going to be situations in our life. There's going to be moments we face, and we have to remember we have eyes watching us at all time. Again, Mark Fletcher's a real stand-up guy, but he has to know in those situations, man, this is the national championship game. All eyes and all cameras are on me and people are watching. And so that us as parents too have to remain in character in every situation. Now, again, there are some times we can talk about those where we may have to act out of character, but hopefully we don't have to. And so, when you're the loud one, you might think that you're fired up, right? Hey, I'm fired up, son. I'm loud for you, but your son might feel embarrassed. So while we think we're just being loud, have you ever asked your kid, hey, when you hear me at a game, how does that make you feel, right? Your son may feel exposed, pressured, and just afraid of like, man, what is going on? What is my dad saying? Or what is my mom saying? Look, I've heard some moms yell some crazy things at games. And so when you're loud, again, we've talked about this. Your son hears you, he hears the coach, he hears the ref, he hears everything. And so he just thinks of it's like, hey, it's my dad versus the coach. It's my dad versus the ref. It's my dad versus the world. And that puts pressure, unneeded pressure on a kid because he just feels like, oh my gosh, my dad is yelling for me like I'm the greatest athlete of all time. And I understand, don't get me wrong, we root for our kids and lift them up and build them up. But man, you got to understand the pressure you put on your kid when you're the one that can be heard over every single person in the stands, and so how do we be better in that? And so, your child learns in that situation is that men in general, the way we handle frustration is by getting bigger, louder, and scarier. We got to talk on that, right? When did we come to the point of how do we get to this point where when things aren't going right, men feel like we have to be loud, scary, threaten, raise our voice to let people know that I'm the authority. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You're going to respect me. How did we get here? The same situation can be handled just like this. I can be calm. I can be cool no matter what's going on. No matter what somebody's saying about me. We're going to be cool. We're going to maintain our character because that's what we're called to do. Outside of anything, right? Our Lord tells us that we've been chosen and all eyes are on us. And I don't have to try to make anybody else like me, right? I'm chosen by the highest power. So what else do I need to do in those situations? So we don't have to be louder. But in these situations, here's what happens, right? When we're loud, we're scary. Your son learns one of two things, right? He's either going to copy what he's seen you do, or he's going to spend his entire life trying not to be like that. That's going to help possibly make him carry a little bit of anxiety as he goes up, of trying his hardest not to be like his dad, not to be like what he saw on the sideline. And so here's a very hard question, right? If someone were to film you on the sideline and then put that footage in front of your kids, say 20, 25 years down the line, what would you want your son to say? Would you want your son to be like, yeah, I remember that. That's exactly the man I'm trying to be to this day. I'm trying to be like the man that showed up for me. I'm trying to be like the man that was there for my family, for my mom, for my brothers and sisters. I'm trying to be like that man that led through every high, through every low. That man led. And not only did he lead, but he led loud and he led proud. And by leading loud, I'm not talking yelling. The presence of when the man walked in the room, I knew what my dad was going to give me. So that's a personal challenge, right? Again, I get off on some of these episodes and I start talking, and that ain't even a part of the episode. But my gentlemen out there, we're called to be great leaders. We're called to lead our families. I understand, look, sometimes it gets hard. Sometimes we're going through some stuff and we're working our butts off, and all we want is somebody to tell us, hey, you're doing a great job. Sometimes it comes and sometimes it doesn't. So if you're listening to this, just know, keep going. I see you. I appreciate you. I'm proud of you. And I'm sure your family is as well. But let's just do it the right way. How much better off would this world be if people just loved a little bit differently? Loved out loud. And we're just calm with each other. This world thrives off negativity, and it drives me crazy. I don't understand why every situation. Now, I get it. I understand. There is some craziness. I'm not saying that everything is just rainbow and glitter and everything is perfect, but not every situation has to be turned into a negative situation. Like, it doesn't have to be. How do we push past that as humans? And how do we continue to grow together? And so, what would your son say if he were to see footage of you on the sideline? Man, that's my dad right there. I'm proud of that dad. He was fun. Man, my dad was awesome during youth sports. My dad was awesome during high school sports. Or the flip side. Would your son say, man, I never wanted to be like that. Or I never want to make my kids feel like that. That's not about shame right there. Again, anything I talk about in this message, I don't ever want anybody to be like, dang, this dude is talking right at me. I don't want anybody to be ashamed, right? Have you ever worked a job where stuff gets audited? Well, boom, you're being audited. And it's just a leadership audit. How are you leading? Are you leading the right way? Are you leading a way that would make your kids proud? That's all this is about. Simple as that. Is how we lead can be looked at multiple ways, right? But at the end of the day, are you leading the right way? Are you teaching your kids the right values? That's all I want to get out. That's all season 1 is a nutshell. So I'm going to say this liner right here. If you didn't listen to any of the other episodes, this episode right here is about leadership. But guess what? That's what the main theme of season 1 is we're building these kids in multiple different areas. Confidence, whatever it may be. We're leading these kids. However, we're the leaders. We're the ultimate leaders. We're the ones that's going to teach them everything that they need. And so are we doing it the right way? And I just think that that's something that cannot be missed. Is you can lead. There can be people out there that lead. Like they think they're a leader. They bark, I'm a leader. They pound their chest, I'm the leader of this. They ain't doing it the right way. And so the people that they think they're leading are standing behind them like, I'm not about to do this. Already in their mind trying to figure out, man, I don't know a lot about leadership. Even a kid can do that. I don't think that's the way you're supposed to do that. Kids are brutally honest. And I don't think that's the right way to do it. Could you imagine if you did something and your kid looked you in the face and said, Dad, that ain't it. That ain't the right way to do it, Dad. So that's the ultimate theme of all this, the right way. Play a football game, win or lose, how do you act afterwards? The right way. Coaching youth kids and developing youth kids, how do you do that? The right way. Being a husband, how do you do that? The right way. You see what I'm saying? There's many ways to do things, but there's a right way in a lot of these situations. Now, is my way exactly like your way? No. But that's all I'm asking, is that we lead the right way for these kids. We can't expect our kids to be what we want them to be if we don't even know what we are. Does that mean we can't go through hard times and have difficult days? Absolutely not. We got to do it the right way. So again, do a leadership audit. Look yourself in the mirror and say, am I doing things the right way? Where am I struggling? Find you some brothers. Who can you talk to? Grow together. Find you a village. Find you a village in this time of your life to help you grow into the man you need to be. And if you're already there, keep leading. Keep doing it loud and keep doing it proud, right? Leadership is something that your son can follow like this, okay? We're just going to talk about this. We're going to make sure that your son has a groundwork of what he knows is true leadership. Controlled volume. Control volume with clear words, clear expectations. You know, one of the challenges we're having in my house right now is my boys are getting a little bit older, 12 and almost 10. And so gone are the days where we're doing all their laundry, doing everything for them. Like, they're learning some stuff right here. The other day, and look, don't judge me out there. My 9-year-old helped me take the clothes out of the washer and put them into the dryer. I don't know if he's ever done that before. Does that mean, man, I should have been giving my kid more work? No. But I think my kid is now at the point where I can give him a little more work. You know, you got to know your kids too. And so I said all that to say this, like, I'm asking them to do things, but I'm not yelling at them. And then my wife actually sent me a good video too about words to say with kids. You know, like if they do something bad or something, don't say you're wrong. You know, change it up. Hey, you're super talented. You're very, very smart. Let's talk this out. Let's work on this together. You know, whatever it is, you always have got to think about the words. You can talk to an adult differently than you can talk to a kid. And you may say something that you never, ever thought would be perceived wrong, but a kid hears something and they're crushed. And so that's something that I was like, oh, that's a good one. So I found myself just the other day after she sent me that video of telling my kids something, I was like, you are so smart that you're not going to act like you don't know how to do this, something along those lines. I was like, so let's talk this out. Let's figure this out together. You're way too smart for us to not know how to do this. And it wasn't anything crazy, but it's just like I'm trying to give these kids expectations. But the whole point is yelling at them is never going to get them where we need to get them. You know, we make them take their clothes right side out every single time they throw them in the basket so that when we wash them and dry them, you can fold them and hang them up. And so it was a process. And it's just like, hey, you know, it's not my work, it's your work. And so I try to tell them like and in this calm voice, hey, if you just would focus real quick, you would knock that task out super, super quick. It's when you can't focus and when you're doing other things is where it turns into a longer chore than it needs to, right? Another thing, consistency. And this is consistency at home. This is consistency during the game, during the sport they're playing. Same response to the refs, the coaches on good plays and bad plays, right? We're not a saint one week and then, man, guess what? Volcano dad the next week. We're consistent. We're the same. Our kids know what to expect from us. I think that is so key. Could you imagine, picture me, let's go this. I'm a storyteller. You work a job and your boss is different on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday. Every day of the week, you get different. You get a different boss. Or your spouse is different. Well, just kidding, I'm a style. I ain't gonna say that. Or your spouse. And so every day you never know what to expect. Could you imagine? So you gotta be the same no matter what. And then add to that calm in crisis. Your kid missed a tackle. Do you flip out, throw your hat, go off the rails, stomp off, cuss, whatever it may be? What does that look like? Your kid has an ugly half. What does that look like? Let's take it a step further. Coaches, what does that look like? Your kids don't perform to your expectations in the first half of a game. Do you crush them, or do you lift them up so that, hey, the score is 0-0 now. We're coming out in the second half. We still got a chance to make an impact on this game, right? Those are the situations. Whether we're being a parent, whether we're being a coach, we've got to learn how to handle those situations. And again, I'm not pointing you out. My finger's not pointing at you saying you are terrible. You're not doing this right. It's a we thing. How do I control my temper when a kid blocks a kid in the back and we've worked on it multiple times? Little things, consistency, the same every single time. When those situations don't go our way, we breathe, we take a deep breath, we adjust, and we go back to what we've learned. We're confident in every single situation. This isn't going well, but guess what? One, we're still breathing, so we got opportunities to fix it. Two, there's still time on the clock. We got an opportunity. You're playing a baseball game. Oh, man, it's only the fifth inning. You still got time. So as long as there's time and opportunity, take a deep breath. But I'm going to go a step further. We're talking a football game. What if your team's getting blown out at halftime? And in your mind, you're like, there ain't no way we're coming back from this. There's no way we're going to win this game. You still handle the situation the exact same way. You keep the confidence in your kids. There's a lesson in everything. I always say it ain't about winning and losing. It's about winning and learning. And I even hate saying it's about winning because to me, youth sports is not about winning. We can have a discussion about this if you'd like. Hit me up. Send an email to the podcast email and we can talk about it. But youth sports is not about winning. Youth sports is about development. And I would even take it a step further on that. It's about character development first. And then we'll develop you as a player. I don't know if everybody's going to agree with me on that, but I'm not changing. That's what it's about. Because the percentage of kids that are going to go play college sports and then on to the pros is very, very, very low. Now you throw in NIL and all the stuff that's changing the landscape of college football. Man, I don't know what it's going to look like in 5 years. And that good high school kid that comes in as a 5-star recruit, but then Mr. Senior wants to transfer and then Mr. Senior starts for that team. So I'm just saying, let's develop our kids' character. Let's develop everybody we coach. Let's get their character right so that maybe sports doesn't work. I hope it does. I hope everybody's kid goes pro. I hope. But if it doesn't, does that kid know how to handle themselves? And then just ownership, right? When you do cross the line, because inevitably we still will, we're human. Like, hey, I wasn't proud of that. I wasn't proud of how I acted today, and that's on me. It's my favorite thing. I love that's on me. That's on me. Like, I love that. That's on me. I'm going to get a that's on me tattoo, or I'm going to get it for a hat. So I'm just working on that, right? I'm working on being a better version. And right there, you just taught your kid how a real man handles situations and how they correct themselves. Accountability. That's my favorite word. It's my favorite word. And you know how much credibility you get if you can take ownership for anything you've done, big or small. Big or small, man, I messed up. I'm accountable for that. I'm also accountable for raising my children. I'm also accountable for helping the kids I coach learn how to handle situations. Teaching the kids I coach, hey, as you get older, you're going to get in some situations, you're going to see and you're going to hear some things. Please walk away if you need to. Please make the right choice. I care about you enough that I want you to make the right choice. I think that's something too that's missing. I've been seeing some crazy youth sport videos, people fighting, this, that, and the other, and I'm like, for what? What are we doing? Why? It'll never change, unfortunately, but I'm hoping that the people I interact with and the people I coach and the people that listen to this podcast or whatever it is that we can make sure it's never us that pops up on that TikTok video or that Instagram video, that we're not the one acting a fool at a sporting event. Anybody can be loud. And I'm going to take this I've always felt like the people that are being the loudest are the ones that are faking, right? They're hiding something. They're I don't know. They're covering for something. That's just my opinion. They're not confident or they're still trying to relive their youth sports, or their mom didn't treat them right, or their dad didn't treat them right. So they're going to make sure that their kid hears them at a game. And again, I could be way off on this, but man, just cheer for your kid. Cheer for your kid's teammates. Why not? Right? But anybody can be loud, but your son doesn't need an echo. Not for sure. Your son doesn't need to hear mom or dad acting silly on the sideline. They just don't. Our kids need an anchor. And I think it's funny. I'll show you eventually. I have an anchor. Me and my wife have matching anchor tattoos, and it's just one of those ones of like, I got you. I'm going to hold you down. You're going to hold me down. It ain't always going to be pretty, right? You think about a boat being anchored. It gives you some, you're more comfortable knowing that boat is anchored, even though you got a little bit of waves. Don't yell at me, boat people. I'm just a lake guy. We go out in the lake on the summer, but I'm just saying, knowing that you have a firm foundation just makes you feel better. And so, man, your kids need to know, man, when things get crazy, my mom and dad get calm. I've never seen my parents anything but here. The parents, I know there'll be a situation, something inevitably will make you get a little bit loud or get out of character, and that's okay. We got to know that, but we have to do that in hopefully it's nothing crazy happens that we really have to be wild. But in today's society, who knows? I'm just going to be upfront and honest with you. People crazy nowadays. You might have to come out of character and put your hands on somebody or whatever it may be. That's my biggest thing. I'm chill. I'm really, really chill. I've gotten to the point where I tell everybody I'm unbothered. You can say whatever you want to say about me. You ain't gonna get a rise out of me. But you put your hands on my kids or my wife, we're gonna talk. We're gonna have a good, nice conversation. I ain't saying we're gonna fight, but we're gonna talk. And when it's all said and done, you gonna know you were involved in something. I guarantee that. And I ain't no Mr. behind a camera warrior or anything like that. I am nonviolent. But, and I just think, man, at the end of the day, like, we don't have to be perfect. Perfection doesn't exist. We just have to be willing to be more than noise. At the end of the day, this is the thing I want to ask you at the end of the day. Do you want your kids to remember you barking from a sideline? Or do you want your kids to remember how you led? So, and I'm going to close with this, man. We were sitting on the couch. And my little 9-year-old said, and I need to grab something. My little 9-year-old said, "Hey, Dad, I want to be baptized. And that pride I felt. Sorry, it makes me get a little emotional. That pride I felt when my kids said that was everything. My older kid has already said he wants to get baptized, so they're both signed up to get baptized. But that made me feel good. I even told my wife right then and there, I said, we're doing something right. And so I'm going to end these episodes a little bit different. I've added something that I just kind of want to throw in here, and we'll go from there. It may not be for everybody. Some people may not like it, but I don't care. I don't care what others say about something that I like, right? This is something that's about me. And so I just want to end with, a little prayer going forward, right? Lord, thank you for the opportunity to lead, learn, and to grow. Give us the strength to lead from the front in everything we do, as teammates, as fathers, as men of character. Help us choose discipline over comfort, courage over fear, and love over pride. Let our actions speak louder than our words, and let us be examples worth following. Protect our families, our teammates, and our hearts, and remind us every day that real leadership starts at home and shows up on the field. Amen. And I appreciate y'all, and we'll see you on the next one. Remember to lead loud and lead proud. Thanks for joining us on Lead from the Line. If this episode helped you, share it with one person who needs to hear it today. Join the conversation on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see you on the next one.
No flags on the play, keep your vision alive. Fatherhood and football, that's how we survive.